All right, we are live. Okay, everyone. So welcome. Hope you can see me. I'm David Rosen with Friends of Rio Neato. Thank you for showing up. This is great. And hello, everyone on Zoom. This is our presentation that right here, you'll see it. And there will be time for Q&A. I think we'll do Q&A in between each segment.
Yes, please.
We'll do some Q&A between each segment, and then there'll be some at the end. And then also for those of you at home on Zoom, we'll have opportunities to put your questions into the chat. And the fabulous Marcy Hennon, who is helping with this, will read your questions. This entire presentation will be available afterward, and I will post for you where. So there's sign-up sheets here at the table in front, because Duria was not able to make it here today and broadcasting remotely. She will forward on presentations and handouts. Annie brought handouts here that you can take, but there's a sign up here with your email if you want to receive follow-up information from this presentation.
And
So,
if you want to receive it from policyholders for any webinars we put on, there's a sign up for that also.
cool. Are we ready to roll, Marcy?
Yes, we're recording.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, just a moment for Sarah Paul.
I'll take the assigned seat.
From Safer West County.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Paul. I live here in Monterey. I am on the board of Safer West County. I'm also on the board of the Monterey Fire Protection District. And some of you may know me from the Watch Duty app. Today, I'm here to tell you about two programs that Safer West County has made available to our communities. One is free chipping, brought to you by the wonderful staff of Monterey Fire Department. There's a place to sign up on the Safer West County website, and you can call the station. I mean, there's just ways to make it very, very easy. Make a chipping pile. The gentleman and folks from the fire department will come out and take care of it. The other thing I want to tell you about is that we have put together through some grant work, some defensible space grants. So there is still money available for people in the 4 communities eligible for this. Monterey is one of those communities. Again, go to the Safer West County webpage. It'll tell you everything you need to know. I've got flyers up here for both of these. So at the end of this, please come grab one. Thank you, David, for putting this all together. Thank you for being here.
All right. Duria and Lisa, go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to share updates on homeowners insurance. So my name is Duria Sayed, and I serve as the Northern California Outreach Analyst at the California Department of Insurance. Today, I'm accompanied by Lisa Strange, our manager for Northern California Community Relations and Outreach Branch, who is here with us, helping us with slides, and will join us for Q&A. I want to apologize for 2 things before I I have a cold. And thank you, David and Marcy and everybody for letting me on Zoom today. You people usually make excuses for their dogs and children. I have a husband, my better half, who gave me this cold. So he will be coughing now and then. So I don't want you to make that excuse right now before moving forward. So this is the insurance market. We are all aware of the stress on the insurance market right now created by natural disasters and global inflation. This is not just happening here, but every state is experiencing these factors. Increased cost of rebuilding, and I know Annie will talk about it, labor shortages, and as we've seen, as risk increases, insurance companies are protecting their obligations to current consumers and limiting new businesses. Even though many insurance companies are currently still selling homeowners insurance, 12 groups control 85% of the California insurance market. Since 2022, 7 of the top 12 insurance groups have paused or restricted new business despite rate increases approved or pending with the Department of Insurance. So look at this slide. It shows you that 7 of these 12 insurance companies have either paused or restricted their new policies, even though most have pending or approved rate increasing, showing that the problem cannot be solved by just increasing prices. So over the past 10 years, insurance companies have done far worse in California than nationally. And you all are aware of it. By any measure, they have done really bad. During those years, California experienced 9 of the 10 most devastating wildfires in our state's history. So you can see right on the slides also, as a result, we are faced with a tough question. Can consumer get insurance they need? Today, the answer is generally no. So because of that, we have been consistently monitoring and analyzing the status and direction of insurance availability trends. You probably all know that Fair Plan has doubled to 3% of the market, becoming the insurer of the first resort for many Californians, not the last resort as it was designed. The Fair Plan is not a state agency. It is run and funded by the insurance companies. A growing Fair Plan is a problem because Fair Plan policyholders are required to pay more for less coverage. And concentrating the highest risk properties under the Fair Plan increases the chance that it will be unable to afford a catastrophic disaster. It is really important to understand this point. If the Fair Plan goes insolvent, insurance companies are on the hook for the unpaid Fair Plan losses. While this hasn't happened
Maria,
in
can you hang on 1 second? Because we're not seeing the slides. Sorry about that. Can you see them in the room? Fine.
Yes, I can see them.
We're
seeing
hearing
them.
that people in the okay. Okay, now people can see them fine on the Zoom.
I'm seeing them.
Okay, great. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, please continue.
No worries at all. Well, so I was talking about the unpaid Fair Plan losses. So if this happened, this hasn't happened in 30 years, but the uncertainty is still driving insurance companies to further limit coverage to at-risk Californians. And there is a critical factor now. Unlike public utilities, which sometimes people confused us with, unlike public utilities, which are required to provide coverage to all residents and businesses, under Prop 103, insurance company can legally refuse to write insurance unless they are able to meet 100% of consumers' claim, cover their expenses, and earn a fair return. They are here for profit. Everyone is harmed if an insurance company goes insolvent because it cannot pay its claims, and we want to make sure that does not happen. So, in an effort to reduce the risk of major losses in the industry, the department introduced the Safer from Wildfires framework. Some of you may have heard about this because I wanted to provide just a high level overview again, okay? It is a 3-step system to protect your home, surroundings, and community, which in turn provides consumers with discount and transparency about your risk rate. So under this regulation, we expect to see more businesses, homeowners, and communities making investments in wildfire safety, greater community resilience, reduced losses for wildfires, more insurance coverage for mitigated properties. So basically, this regulation attacks the root cause of non-renewals, which is wildfire risk, and they will make Californians safer. So let's start with our step 1. Step 1 is pretty straightforward. Class A fire-rated roof, enclosed eaves, fire-resistant vents, multi-pane windows, and a minimum of 6-inch non-combustible vertical clearance at the bottom of the exterior surface of the structure. Step two. Step two, as I talked about earlier, is protecting the immediate surroundings. So do things like clearing vegetation and debris from under the deck and any and all movable combustible materials from within 5 feet of the building being evaluated. Removal of combustible structures, sheds, and other outbuildings from the immediate surroundings of the home to at least a distance of 30 feet. And finally, step three. And this step three is an effort to obtain a community level mitigation designation. This will most likely involve at least one, if not more, local government agencies. Community level mitigation designations include FRRC, Fire Risk Reduction Committee by Board of Forestry, and a Firewise USA site in good standing. So when you do those steps, your insurance company will provide you a discount. The California Fair Plan began offering insurance discounts due to this regulation starting August 23rd. And CDI is working to continue improving the other companies, As of January 31st, only Chubb companies approved so far out of the top 12, okay? So the Fair Plan has offered a 10% discount on policies in participating Firewise communities since 2018. Now the Fair Plan is offering 2 more wildfire hardening discounts, one for protecting the structure and another for protecting the immediate surroundings of the dwelling. So when applied, these discounts will reduce the wildfire portion of the policy's premium by 10% and 5% respectively. Homeowners, so we are encouraging all of you, homeowners, to contact your broker to find out how to qualify and when you could receive a discount. It is very important to be in touch with your broker or agent. Additionally, CDI and the California Fair Plan reached an agreement to increase the commercial coverage limit to $20 million per location, effective November 1st, 2023. This addressed the greater needs for additional coverage for recreational youth camps, HOAs, wineries, and agriculture groups. And the business owners policy, BOP, limit increased to 20 million effective December 14. So another thing I would like to discuss is that most people do not know that insurance company assign a risk score to your home or business. It is important to get that score because if you know about the risk on your property, you can take action to reduce them and make yourself and your neighbors safer. This regulation requires insurance company to give you that score. And they have to tell you how they created that score and what factors went into it. So the wildfire risk score or classification must be provided to you at the following times, okay? When you apply for a new policy within 15 days, before you renew a policy at least 45 days, at least 75 days before you are non-renewed, and when you complete mitigation on your property and request a revised score within 30 days. By creating a right of appeal, the regulation is giving power back to the consumers, to all of you. And if you are not satisfied with the response, I just want to assure you that the Department of Insurance is on your side to help. So in addition to safer from wildfire regulation and improvements to the Fair Plan, the department embarked on another package of regulatory solutions. The California Sustainable Insurance Strategy. It's a big word, but we call it SIS, Sustainable Insurance Strategy, which is a comprehensive plan to modernize our insurance market. And here are some executive actions and reforms we are taking. One, we will increase availability of insurance in wildfire distressed area. How we'll do that? We are using our private approval rate authority. Insurance company will write no less than 85% of homes and businesses in wildfire distressed areas. This is a historic agreement between department and the insurance companies. We will reverse the trend of, as I talked earlier, about growing fair plan and close the gap, insurance gap. Department will find these distressed areas using a data-driven approach. So the second important part of this plan is we will return fair plan policyholders back to traditional insurance, with first priority given to hardened homes and businesses following the safer from wildfire regulations, which I talked just a few moments before. The next important element of the plan directly addresses the climate crisis. The department will introduce utilization of forward-looking catastrophic models, prioritizing wildfire safety, mitigation, and transparency. For the last 30 years, the department has used historical losses as the method of estimating catastrophic adjustments in the California rate review process. However, historical losses do not account for the growing risk caused by climate change. What's more, this approach is directly contributing to the growing cost of insurance, as record-setting losses fuel higher rates within no allowance for our collective efforts to reduce rates through home hardening, prescribed fire, and healthy forest projects. California is spending record amounts of funds on reducing risks, fuel management, and making people safer. So we need insurance companies to recognize that and also to reward it. We have a clear template for now how to do this as we have already done with Safer from Wildfire regulations. We will take input from the public and put the public interest in safety and insurance access first, as we did in that process. Another important element of stabilizing our marketplace in the face of climate change, we will also explore allowing California-only reinsurance cost. Reinsurance is a tool that many insurance companies are using to manage their climate risk and continue writing policies. We want to underscore that Californians will not pay the cost of hurricanes, fires, and floods across the nation and around the world. So under this agreement, companies wishing to use these new risk assessment tools must agree to increase and maintain their writing in wildfire distressed areas of state. That's what I talked about, the 85% requirement, increasing writing and removing people from the FAIR plan. So turning to the FAIR plan, we will continue modernizing FAIR plan by expanding commercial covered limit to 20 million per structure. So this closes coverage gaps of HOAs, affordable housing, and agribusiness, who also have been having a hard time finding coverage. So this upcoming regulation is the result of meeting with California homeowners, business owners, fire chiefs, agents, realtors, HOAs, summer camps, and many other insurance consumers across the state. We have held meetings in 58 counties since 2019, making sure we are taking everyone into account. The issue of insurance availability is imperative for everyone, and we will do our part to improve the market. And that's why we are here today also, to get your input and take it with us. Lastly, I also want to share some of the online tools on our website to help you score the market. So search for our top 10 tips of finding residential insurance for a summary of the information and options available. And what I will do is, like your email list, I will also send all the links to that so that you have all the links available. You don't have to go through everything. And then our insurance finder tool, you can see the arrow there. Insurance finder tool can help you identify those insurance companies writing in high risk regions to help narrow your search. And it also gives you contact numbers for licensed agents and brokers in your area. Besides the wildfire preparedness, please also visit our website as we are going through the winter storms to look at the top 10 tips for people affected by winter storms. So we are here to help answer any questions about any line of insurance. Review your insurance policy if you have been canceled or non-renewed, or if you wish to file a request for assistance with the department. So please contact our consumer hotline at 800-927-4357. You can take a picture right now of the screen also, or feel free to utilize our live chat at insurance.ca.gov. I also want to reassure you that we are there to help all of you. So if you give us a call or contact us, and we have a policy of returning your call in 2 minutes, and we will get an expert with you online or live chat to help you. And also recognize that each policy is a unique policy. So sometimes if you have very specific questions, you would want to call our hotline number or have a live chat so that the expert can guide you appropriately. So basically, this concludes my presentation, and Lisa and I are happy here to take any questions or comments right now.
Thank you very, very much. I will go ahead and repeat questions from the audience since I'm right here next to the microphone. You can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
My first question, actually, on behalf of everyone, is there was a lot of deeper information, percentages, process, et cetera, under the wildfire slides. For people that sign up via email to receive information from you for this presentation afterward, will there be some of the deeper data that wasn't on the slides?
No, no, basically we covered everything that's on the slides. But but there can be a deeper data in a sense that we have a link where people can go and look at the rate filings, how it's all done and stuff like that if people are interested. So I can send all those links to all the people who will be on the email list, so they will have it handy and look into that. I
Okay.
will have Lisa add if she wants to add anything to that.
Okay, let's start with some questions.
So Safer West County will have all of her links as well as United Policyholders and the presentation in a week or two on our website, so that you'll have access to all the slides. Hi there.
Okay, so let's start with some questions.
So you mentioned that there are 3 things that insurers are able to do, and one of them is make a fair return. And I'm wondering what constitutes a fair return?
Were you able to hear that?
No, repeat that, please.
What constitutes a fair return for an insurance company to make?
What constitutes a, air quote fingers, fair return for insurers to make? You described a fair return.
Do you want to take that one?
You want to take that one?
Thank you for everyone for letting Doreen, like she said, letting us join virtually today. Happy to be here. And that's a great question. And to be honest, it's one we haven't had yet. So I actually don't know the answer to that in terms of a dollar amount. But most importantly, we know that insurance companies want to make sure they remain solvent and can pay all claims for their current consumers and clients. So at the point when they feel that they can't, that is when they have paused policies. We can dive deeper into that and see if we can answer that better later. But thank you for the question.
Do you think that the premiums are going to go up with this new policy that might be presented?
Which new policy are you referring to?
Any?
The question is, do you feel that premiums will go up based on these new policies that are becoming available?
Actually, we feel like there are two models that I presented. From Safer from Wildfires, we feel like you will get discounts. Two things will happen. First of all, you will make your community safer. That will reduce the risk. And we want insurance companies to account for that. So that will be a discount portion that you will get. Then SIS, the Sustainable Insurance Strategy, that is more for availability because we are also struggling with availability. So that will more cover the portion of we will have available insurance companies. We will yet to see that it will decrease the rating or not, but it will all depends. We just are waiting as much as you are waiting how the market will react to that. So.
Quick question, why are they
Please.
allowing so much new building when it increases the likelihood of insurance costs rising because they have to cover more businesses or more homes?
And who is they?
Yeah, they can't.
Well, they're building in Santa Rosa, they're building, all the new
So
properties.
why
that
is
are
the
being-
state allowing is what you're asking?
Yeah, why is the insurance company or the state? When
Why
we don't
are
have-
so many new buildings being allowed to be built when
We don't have the sustenance to cover our.
we're not able to sustain insurance with the current amount of buildings that we have? So our rates continue to go up.
That's a great question, but I don't know that that's one for the Department of Insurance. We have received that question before, and when we've received it before, there were other folks on the call that sort of answered that. So I don't know. Daria or Annie, do you guys have a suggestion?
That's something that you need to discuss with your city and county officials. And my understanding is that they get grants and such, they have to show development. That's all contingent on building. And that when they do build, it was determined 4 or 5 years ago, minimum, that they got approval. So my opinion from the knowledge that I have is that this process started way before we had this huge insurance issue. Is it resolvable? I don't know, because all cities and states have quotas to take care of the unhoused and to grow, unfortunately.
David, I have 2 questions online. When we have a second.
Sure, and actually, I was about to text you, I have it on speaker setting, but it seems that when the speaker is speaking, they're not on the main screen.
She's on the next one.
Well, right now I'm speaking and I'm not on the.
But you're not in front of the
You're
camera.
not in front of your camera, David.
Right, but Annie was speaking and I was speaking on behalf of Annie though, because she was speaking on the main screen. We still have questions here.
Well, let's go back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So Celeste, I'm gonna let you go.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for doing this. I was dropped from my company last April, and I've been on Fair Plan with this company called Aegis that my broker cobbled together a policy for me, and my policy quadrupled in cost. One question, no one ever told me about a risk score. Should they have done that a year ago? Has that always been a rule? That I should get a risk score from someone? That's one question. And 2, so how long should we expect to have to wait before we try to get out into the market and get a regular insurer again? Like, are we looking at a year or 2? Like, does our community have to be in this fire safe category, or like how long should we expect would be a good waiting time before we can actually get insured by a regular insurer again? So those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
Daria, do you want me to take those or would you like to?
Go ahead. I'll add it to it.
Okay, thank you. And thanks, Celeste, for your questions. So the first question about when you should have been notified about your wildfire risk score. So this regulation was approved in October 2022. And insurance companies had until April 12th, 2023 to submit all their rating plans to us. And so I know you didn't ask this question, but I just want to say this piece too. And as Doria kind of mentioned it in her presentation, so we did approve the rate plans for the FAIR Plan in August last year, 2023. And we're still working on approving other insurance companies' rate plans. However, it is law now that insurance companies must provide you your risk score and the factors that went into it. And that's a really big deal because when this regulation was being drafted, we learned that insurance companies weren't sharing their wildfire risk score with homeowners because they deemed it proprietary information. And so now they are required to do that. So we want to make sure, yes, make sure you get that. And just kind of a reminder from Doria's presentation that once you get that score, if you don't agree with it, you have the opportunity to appeal it. And then if the appeal doesn't go the way you want, example, maybe they're saying your score is a little higher than you think because you've done all these efforts, then you would want to contact the department and let us try to help you sort through that. And then to your second question, shoot, I already forgot what it was. Oh, when should you start looking at the market for more of a voluntary market plan? And I guess I would suggest, and I'd love to hear from Annie on this, always. We also say that we ask folks or suggest to folks to check, maybe go outside of your area, because sometimes we know that companies maybe are sort of spreading some of the risk, and maybe they have some openings to write one more policy in your area, where they aren't saturated, or something like that. So again, I'd love to hear more from Annie on that.
Yeah, and I'll cover a little bit more of that in my talk, but basically today, right now.
Yeah.
And there is some tools which I'll share as we go along. You should always be looking. They are required. California Fair Plan is a place to rest, not land, is how it was set up. And so when you are able to get another policy, they are required to give you your unused premium back. So it's not like it's going policy year to policy year. So the more effort you put into it, and we all know that insurance goes like this. And so they may drop some in one area and have some room to pick somebody up. So it should be an ongoing process for all of you.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
I have two more questions, but I'm going to let you go next.
Okay.
So just in this area though, do you know, I mean, are there any policies being written besides the FAIR Plan? I'm hearing no.
Are there any policies being written in this area, West County? Guerneville, Monterey,
Rio Nito.
Rio Nito. I can say that, yes, they are. Through my broker, at least. I have a combination of Fair Plan and just like Celeste, my neighbor.
Not FAIR Plan.
Right, with their combined plans. But so the question is, are there any plans being written without the use of California Fair Plan in our West County area?
Specifically like Guerneville and Rio Nito.
Specifically Rio Nito, Guerneville, Monterey.
Rio Nito.
Rio Nito and Guerneville. And anything ending in Rio.
Honestly, I'm not sure, but I know that Fair Plan is the widely one that's used, because when I was at the meeting at Occidental, I felt like almost everybody had Fair Plan. So I think that was my understanding. Annie, do you want to add to that?
Oh.
I'd be happy to. So there's always someone who seems to get in, and they don't necessarily share how they did it, because it's, we all know that insurance companies only want a percentage of risk in an area. And so if you get a conventional plan, and you share it with all your people here, someone's going to get kicked off of that plan, and it could be you. So it's important that people use brokers. They utilize, I have some resources for you. It's important that you just keep looking. I recommend every 3 months.
Once you receive that, it's saying we're not renewing you, is there any point in requesting the risk score at that point? Kind of like, I know you're kicking me out, but.
Yeah,
it wasn't my fault.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You should know what your risk score
They
is.
have to provide-
You should make sure they have your address and the satellite pictures correct, that they're actually taking pictures of your property.
They don't provide that. The aerials are proprietary.
We
Um,
can't hear the conversation that's going back and
Oh.
forth, just so you
so
know.
the pictures and the aerials of properties, are the insurance companies required to show those to the client? To make sure that they actually are taking pictures of the right resident?
I have an issue with that. My issue was my farmer's insurance gave me an aerial picture. And as I started looking at the aerial picture, I realized that it wasn't my property. I even told the people in the office, you have the wrong thing. I don't know where you got yours from, but it certainly is not in this area. Yeah, you can challenge that.
So the statement being made was that there were aerial pictures being taken to document a property for a homeowner that was the incorrect property. And this homeowner challenged that through his insurance company.
And we have a question about that online too, from Dorothy, that says, what are the rules, if any, about insurers using Google Earth to determine risk?
So I just wanted to add to that part that if it is not your property and you're already talking to an insurance agent and it's not working out, at that time we will, you just call our department and our experts are going to guide you from there. You might have to file an RFA, request for assistance, and we can help you from there. So.
Great.
Okay, next question.
Could I answer? I've heard an
Oh, I'm sorry, just a moment. Yes.
Could they answer the question about if the insurance companies are required to give you the aerial photos?
Are insurance companies required to give you a copy of the aerial photos they take?
That's a good question because
That's a
the
good question.
regulation states they must provide you your score and the factors that went into it. So I'm not a lawyer, but wouldn't it be that the factors that went into it would be the photos? I don't.
My insurance, in fact, when I made that claim that they had the wrong property, they sent it through an email that they circled the area that needs to be cleaned up.
Right,
Trees and all
but
that kind of nonsense.
But keep in mind, she can't hear you. Second, the question has more to do with must they versus will they, or
Right.
can they? So we've established that they can, at least for this homeowner, but
Right.
the question being asked is by law or statute, must they? And we don't have an answer for that necessarily. Is that correct?
We know that they have to show you the criteria why their risk score is. And I'm assuming that all the other areas are still gray area, but if they have a wrong picture, it's not a gray area, it's a black and white area. So maybe that will be something that need to look into that, but we will be happy at the department to look into that issue.
And we'll go to this question next, but keep in mind, everyone, and tell me if this is not correct. We're creating a lot of this as we go. This is new terrain for all of us as homeowners. It's new terrain for insurance companies and it's new terrain for the state as well.
And I'd like to add in there that the major company may not be willing to share those pictures with you, but we have had success with agents who are willing and have a relationship with you to share those pictures to make sure it is your property.
And as a reminder again to everybody, I see people taking pictures with their phones. This entire presentation will be available. It's being recorded. It'll be available online. If you give us your email address here, won't share it with anybody, of course. Just give us your email address and I'll make sure you get a copy of the link and all the backup materials. Who is over here next? Yes.
Did you? No, I had the same question that, okay, already didn't get answered. I have a separate question. What, is there any monies available or what, any programs available to, harden our homes or create preventable things? Right.
Thank you. So Safer West County is routinely looking for new grants and putting in applications. You met Sarah earlier. She works in this area. David here works in Rio Nito. We have it's an all volunteer organization. So your community has volunteers that are doing this work for you. If you have any interest in helping, please let us know, because there's more work than any of us can get done. Some of us, like myself, have full-time jobs, but we are always looking for grants. There are a number of grants. They are very specific to the region. So the grant that Sarah talked about earlier was for defensible space. That's your first 30 to 100 feet outside your house, which was already talked about up here, making sure the bushes and everything around. So we have a rebate. If you do some of that work with a contractor, we can help you pay for that. If you're in Forestville, Monte Rio, Camp Meeker, or Occidental. We hope to apply for the other communities in the West County that didn't get into that first one by proving this to be a successful program to CAL FUND. And there's a SoCo Adapts, which is home hardening, and it's a $10,000 grant. And that is very specific also into which neighborhoods that goes into. So you have to get online and look at each of these. But Safer West County is the first place to start, and then we continue to put either educational events on to help you get more informed information on our website. We send out newsletters about once a month to make sure you know what's coming up if we have new grants.
I'm going to jump in here for a minute, if I can. We have somebody asking if Villa Grande is included.
Not in the chipper and rebate grant.
Okay, and then we have Ivan. So I apologize, Ivan. I haven't had a chance to get your other question in yet. Many West County residents are eligible for up to $10,000 in rebates for home hardening and defensible space. And he's also mentioning the SoCo Adapts.
Yes.
And the question, for those of you on Zoom, the question was being asked here, if there are rebates or subsidies available for folks that do home hardening, and you just heard the audio from Safer West County off screen.
Yeah, sign up for our newsletters, and that way you'll keep hearing about it. And please, if you have any volunteer time, sign up to help us.
And
So-
I'd like to say to you guys really quickly, this is the third presentation I've done for this group. You are very fortunate to have all these volunteers working their butts off for you, trying to educate you, getting the resources, finding grants is not an easy task.
Thank you.
Let's keep ripping through some questions here.
Is there any way to find out your risk assessment score without having to contact your insurance company?
Is there any way to find out your risk assessment score without having to contact your insurance company or broker?
I'm not aware of it. No, I think you have to, we are encouraging the close contact with the agent. Agent is everything. And having good relationship with the agent helps. And that's all I know.
And the ability to wait on hold for extended periods of time. Yes.
I don't want to sound too cynical, but I totally agree with renting our own homes and doing all that. That is not going to stop a Texas fire. That is not going to stop any of that. Just need to say that part of me is pretty frustrated with some of these fires that could have been some of them. But that's not my main point. My main point is I talk to a lot of my neighbors. I have a house across the street that is absolutely fire hardened. It would be like the example of fire hardened. They lost their insurance. We lost our insurance. We don't have a lot of those things. We have an older roof, but otherwise they're pretty good. Houses that are like buried under trees and have 5 years of needles all over them lost their insurance. And what I was told, and I just need to know if this is true, it sure feels true to me. It feels like they went through the zip code and said, y'all are going to be losing your insurance.
Yeah.
So what is the point to me spending money I don't have to do stuff I think is stupid.
Okay.
If it's not in fire rules.
I would love to answer that.
Okay, let me tell everybody.
Yeah,
Well, go ahead, as you answer, what community are you in?
Grenville, Vacation Beach.
Okay.
so
go
the
ahead.
question was that the Tubbs fire came through in 2017, and she doesn't feel that anything could have stopped that fire. So what is the point of home hardening in a rural community where there's even more?
No, I'm saying home hardening is a good idea. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, having it all land on us. does
Okay.
not feel it. But
So-
I totally agree with Hallmark. I just
Okay.
don't think it's gonna stop a fire that has phone.
Well,
The
the Tubbs fire?
Yeah.
I'm a survivor of the Tubbs fire. I know exactly what you're talking about. I was in Coffee Park. They had no clue that that fire would come through our neighborhood, that it would jump 6 lanes of freeway and 2 lanes on either side of that. We've made huge inroads since that. We formed a group called Coffee Strong after that fire for Coffee Park, and we connected with supervisors and the mayor and fire resources, and we complained about the lack of response, all of those things. Are you on watch duty?
Yeah.
Okay, so watch duty now will show you how quickly they respond to fires. And they put a lot of resources on them now that they didn't do to begin with. So thankfully in our area, they learned some lessons. Now we do have to keep on them because the longer we don't have that kind of a fire, they start backing off. But the response is much quicker. They get on them much more impactfully. And so I think that the Tubbs fire wouldn't have made it as far had they been more aggressive. And I think that they have amped that up considerably.
And I absolutely appreciate what you guys did, honestly. I also have some pretty strong feelings about PG&E, not the linemen, people that take care of us on a day-to-day basis, but is any, I mean, maybe this is just so fine, this guy is ridiculous, but are they having to be responsible for any of the, yeah, okay.
So PG&E started our fire. They were responsible for Paradise. They were responsible for a second fire in Paradise that did not take any properties. And they were responsible for Greenville, the Dixie fire. The average age of their equipment when our fire happened was 70 years old. And they are quote unquote supposed to be coming up with better standards and fixing things and I don't know.
Being held to that because I'm just not sure that will happen voluntarily.
But if I ask here as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any thoughts on PG&E's ongoing liability and keeping them accountable beyond that first $25 million settlement? Okay. Great, good talk. Thank you.
No comment.
We could talk more about this, but I can't say it online.
So,
Are we being canceled by zip code? So really.
Yes.
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 So you need to repeat that because we did
So
not
the
hear.
question is, are we being canceled by zip code? And the answer appears to be yes. I will also, oh, go ahead, Marcy.
I sent you 2 questions on your phone. When you
On
get
the
it.
phone? I've got my phone right here. All right, 2 questions on the phone. Given that most of the largest insurers seem to be requiring getting certified under the Wildfire Prepared Home Program, how does that compare and contrast with Safer from Wildfires?
I can take that question. Thank you. So yes, the IBHS requirements are very similar to Safer from Wildfire requirements. However, not called out specifically in the regulation, but it's important to note that there's an optional rating factor in the regulations that the IBHS designation might fall under that category for discounts. But as we stated earlier, remember, we're still in the process of approving the rating plans for a lot of the insurance companies. So we don't know what that discount will look like yet. But please know that we are aware of the requirements and they are very similar and hoping that they will fall under that optional rating category.
Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay, oh, that was a question from Ivan. Second question here from Karen. We've been insured for over 20 years with the same provider. From last year, our insurance costs doubled, but I'm concerned that if I change insurance companies looking for a less expensive option, I'm putting myself at bigger risk to be canceled with a new company. And there is lots of agreement here in the room to that question.
When we had the meeting in Occidental, Fawn, who was a broker in Occidental, said emphatically, if you have a good relationship, stick with that broker because you are much more susceptible to cancellations with a new insurer than you are with the existing policy.
Were you able to hear that, Marcy?
And I think I would say I would encourage you to keep your insurer until we get into the things of approving all the other insurance companies, and then you can shop around and stuff. And I think Annie will say the same thing because I've heard her saying before that keep your renewals, keep your insurance up to date. It is very important right now than ever, you know. And I think we are kind of getting the questions that Annie was going to do it in her presentation anyway. So I don't know if we should have her talk and ask these questions or whatever, you know.
That's a very good point. So my question for those of you with questions remaining, and I can give you paper if you'd like. Are you comfortable allowing Annie to speak now? Let's see if those get answered and then have more questions afterwards. For those of you with your hands up.
Yes.
I'm not sure if she can answer what I.
Okay, go ahead then.
So now that the California Fair Plan is being overwhelmed with new policies, as my broker said, it takes 3 to 6 months to get a policy through them. Are they gonna be able to jack up their prices and our prices are gonna increase once again because of the additional policies?
The question is now the California Fair Plan is becoming overwhelmed. And one resident heard 3 to 6 months to get approved. Does that mean rates will very likely go up from California Fair Plan because they're the only game in town?
For those of us who have.
For those folks who do get that.
It's a great question, but I don't think I have the answer for it. This is something Fair Plan will know better, or if Annie needs to add on that part.
That requires a crystal ball, probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't understand the answer about the question, 2 questions ago about insurers requiring certification and some sort of, I've heard IBH or
IBHS.
Just explain what that is.
IBHS is a nonprofit that works for the insurance industry. They have come out with the set of standards. They are in my opinion, for the most part, man's dream job. They build things to destroy them. And so they build a house and they hit it with hurricane force winds. They build a house, they hit it with embers. They figure out how these structures are impacted and what's causing these fires, which is why we have this set of standards of putting 1/8 inch mesh over your vents, your chimney, special venting if you want to spend the money on it. Nothing under your decks, all those things, the first 5 feet, all of those things are what has been recognized as being a huge contributor in these wildfires spreading so prolifically. And so that's what IBHS is.
IBHS?
Yes.
Excuse me, David, can you take a survey, raise a hand survey, please, and say how many people are on fair covered insurance and how many people are still under?
Yep.
Good. Okay, we're taking a quick survey here. How many folks are utilizing California Fair Plan right now? Are just on it? Is that your question, Gene? Okay.
In 3 weeks.
And then
Yeah.
how many are still insured without Fair Plan?
Please shout your numbers out.
Yeah, so it's about 60-40, 40% on fair plan, 60.
Well,
Did you hear
it
that?
looked more like 70-30, I would. And how many folks are not insured at all?
Some of us won't be in it.
Or
Oh.
won't, all right, so only a couple folks. All right, so if I may, let's go ahead and have,
David,
Yes,
Pip has a question or something to say, so I'm gonna ask him to unmute.
okay.
Oh, hi. There are a lot of community projects out here that are doing either shaded fuel breaks or other fuel break projects that are pretty large in scope that surround entire communities. The attempt is to connect all of the lower Russian River with these fuel breaks. A lot of that is being funded currently by the PG&E funds that the county of Sonoma received before, and those projects are happening right now. Does or will the state require insurance companies to look at those projects that are actually creating safer communities, not just from a individual home, but entire community wide basis? So we're going to have a shaded fuel break around the community of Rio Neto. And I know there's work in Hacienda and Gernwood and other places in West County. Is that on the radar for people to look at from the state to say, hey, these are pretty good projects. These are making the community safer. There's less fire risk. The insurance company should factor that into their decision-making, whether to grant policies or not grant policies, and how much those policies cost.
So I will take the question and will ask Lisa or Annie to add to it. First of all, it's a wrong concept or a myth that Department of Insurance can make insurance companies sell any insurance. We cannot, okay? We are the regulator. Once people are selling insurance, then Department of Insurance come and regulates and put rules. Or if you are selling insurance, then we tell you do this if you sell the insurance and stuff. But we are not Department of Insurance doesn't have the power to tell insurance companies you need to sell to this community or to this person. So that's something Department of Insurance doesn't do. So I just want to make that clear. So I don't think Department of Insurance will be doing anything with that until insurance companies will evaluate that if they want to take it as safer and want to provide insurance for those projects. And Annie and Lisa can add to that.
I don't know that I really have anything to add to that.
I will say that as becoming part of Firewise communities, which you're doing in Rio Neto and then other communities have, the theory is that these shaded fuel breaks that are happening will also be a factor to reduce risk in addition to becoming a Firewise community.
Right.
Companies are supposed to take into account.
Definitely.
We're still unsure how they'll be in. We're just unsure how it's going to play out.
A meeting that we had with the Bohemian Collaborative. We had a meeting with the Bohemian Collaborative, which is a group of large parcel owners that sort of swath between this corridor, and how they manage their property affects all of us in the communities. And a number of them have said in multiple meetings that that group is their insurance policy, that many of them have lost their insurance, and that the way they are insuring is by working collectively together to reduce their risks. And I would say that's true of all of us. Like, I can make my house home hardened and I can do defensible space, but if my neighbor's not doing that same work and their house goes up, the likelihood of me protecting my house or the firefighters protecting my house goes way down. So by working in these small communities, what we're calling fire safe organizations, is really our greatest insurance, both from an evacuation, emergency preparedness, as well as from risk mitigation. And when we work together, then we go after these larger grants together and get something like a shaded fuel break around our community, so that it gives firefighters a greater chance of protecting the fire from coming into the houses. So this is your insurance policy in a certain way, as each other.
But don't drop.
Thank you so much.
Definitely don't.
All right.
I was missing you. I was hearing your voice, but I was missing seeing you. Thank you so much for coming up and talking.
Thank you for being here, even though you're sick.
All right, let's Andy.
Yeah, why don't you take it away?
Sure. Well, we've already discussed the state of insurance, and we all know it's a complete mess, right? And that's where we have to start. There are some ways, the minute you get Well, let me start here. As we all know, insurance companies are now using satellite and drone to look at your property. And we're seeing this over and over and over again. So if you think you're hiding something behind a fence, they're seeing it. If your setback is 30 feet away from your neighbors, they're looking at 100 feet. So if your neighbor's not doing that mitigation, it's going to affect your insurance. So that's where this community comes together as a whole to protect each other. And those are some of the clues and keys in making sure that you are a insurable community. Now, I also know a lot of you are on the California Fair Plan. I get that. We all saw the picture of the house in Lahaina with the red roof. That house had mitigation standards. That house had done the things to survive. You don't want to be that island. You want the whole community to survive. And the more work you guys do collectively, and I don't care if it's you have 20 minutes one day, whatever that is, do it. Because as a whole, if you're the last man standing because you've done everything but your neighbors haven't, you're not going to want to be there. The beauty of the area is gone. Your neighbors are gone. So that is my short speech of do it together. That's the most important thing. In Coffee Park, had we not had neighbors knocking on doors, we would have had a lot more than 5 fatalities. Know your neighbors. Know what their challenges are. Know what their needs are, because you guys are in charge of your own destiny when it comes to this stuff. You can't expect someone to come in and save the day. They may not have access. So that's the biggest thing I can tell you right now. If you get a 75-day notice from your insurance company that they're going to drop you, I recommend you immediately connect with someone who can start the process of the California Fair Plan. That does not mean that that's where you'll land, but there is a lag. They're having over 1,000 new applications a day. You do not want to not get insurance. So that bite the bullet and do that. It's a process. You're not going to be writing that check right off the bat, but you want it to start. The second thing is get a broker. Brokers have access to a number of companies, not all of them, whereas an agent for, say, farmers has farmers and a couple of small subsidiaries underneath them, right? So you want someone who will do the legwork for you. Barring that, on the Department of Insurance website is a list, and they had shown the front page, and it said residential homeowners insurance. There's a list of insurers, and you can print that out, and you can go through and you call all the major ones, because a broker won't be able to access all of them. An agent won't be able to. So in your free time, call all the major ones. Start with farmers. Can you insure this property? This is the address. No. What companies did you try to sell it to? Mark them off. At the end, you'll have companies that you may not recognize, but it's worth a shot because other people aren't recognizing those companies either. So maybe they're not full in all of these categories. There is also, this list is the admitted list. And what that means is that the Department of Insurance completely backs these insurance companies. If they were to go bankrupt, you're covered. If you have a complaint, they're going to do their best to help you with it. There's also non-admitted, and you can print up that list. Those companies may be willing to take you. They don't have as much security from the Department of Insurance as the other ones, but if you cannot afford the California Fair Plan and you're going to go bare, utilize one of those companies. Have something. I mean, our homes are in the real world, for most of us, that's our biggest asset. And we need to do whatever we can to protect that asset. There's nothing worse than watching, I sit on all the long-term recovery groups, and there's nothing worse than watching people who are living in their cars, but there's no resources for them. People who have children and they're in a one-bedroom apartment, 10 miles away from the school that they were in. And so their entire lives, their children's lives have been just ripped up from the ground. You have to recognize that there are certain things that you want to make sure you're okay with. For myself, I know that my house is paid off and I can retire. And if my house isn't paid off, I can't retire. So if my house was to burn down, I'm going to work until the day I die. That's reality. And I think it's really important that everybody recognize what you're protecting. And so it may be the California Fair Plan right now. It may be really a struggle, but utilize these other resources. Do your best to work on getting off of the California Fair Plan. Hopefully the things that the Department of Insurance, and they are working fiercely on all of this. What they're putting into plan, their meetings with different insurance companies, hopefully that will start moving forward a little more actively. And we'll get more insurers in the area who are willing to write new policy. A lot of people are saying that, these companies are pulling out of California. Most of them are not. They're simply not writing new policy, or they're not writing renters insurance. They're not writing landlord insurance. So they haven't closed the door to us. And I think that that's important. California is a huge, huge liability for them. But, and I hate to say this, all the other states are becoming that too with climate change. It's not like anybody's safe from these disasters. So we're hoping that that kind of pushes them back to write more in California. And make sure that you do all the mitigation you can. And these people are working really hard for you to help you navigate that. Stuart's here. He is wonderful at going around and telling people what is feasible with what you have, as opposed to you have to do all of these. Take little bites. There's nothing wrong with little bites. Sometimes that's all we need. I would be remiss to not discuss earthquake and flood insurance. And I know darn well that the California Fair Plan and insurance companies for fire insurance are bleeding you. I get that. So I'm going to be very quick about this part. Flood insurance has anywhere from a 10 to a 30-day wait to come into effect. So the idea, like my sister lives in Big Sur, and when they had a big fire, as she was running out the door, she was putting renter's insurance on her little cabin. That's not going to happen in that case. So if that is a fear of yours, know that there is a lag time. They won't let you take it out in the middle of a storm. Earthquake insurance. It's expensive. I have information about it, but what they do have also is a brace and bolt program, which means that you go into a lottery, you apply for it, and they give you X amount of money to secure your house to the foundation. And so you want to use every resource you possibly can, and that is a good resource. If you don't get into it this year, try again next year. To go back to, if you're getting your insurance bills online, please go back to paper. The most complaints that we get that people forgot or missed paying their premium is because they got it online and they didn't recognize the email or they scrolled past it. Get them to send you a copy in paper. That is a huge fall off for people, where they all of a sudden say, I don't have insurance because I didn't see it on my email. And now I'm going to just get into some very common sense things. These guys have done a great job of discussing the insurance, what's lacking, what's new. Yes.
Why don't you tell everyone who you are and from where and what you do?
Oh, I have to do that? Annie Barber, I have a magic wand that will get all of you insurance, okay? I worked for, so I am a 2017 Tubbs Fire survivor from Coffee Park. I was a member of Coffee Strong, and we had the quote unquote best recovery in the history of fires. It will never happen again. And it's not because we had a magic wand. It's because we lived in tract homes in a subdivision. We had mortgages, which required insurance. We qualified for conventional insurance. We may have been underinsured, but we weren't grossly underinsured. And the price of building was not through the roof at that point. So there's all these different factors, and I see it in all the long-term recovery groups I now sit on. Since then, I've been employed with United Policyholders, which is a nonprofit that's been around for 33 years, helping people navigate their insurance after disaster. We do advocacy work. We're very small. We're spread really thin, but we work in all the communities that have a need for us. And so we see boots on the ground, really how impactful these disasters are on people. And so that's a little bit about myself. My recommendations, I always try to give tips to people because I think it's important. One, make sure you have some cash in your house. Maui, if you didn't have cash, you had no place to stay, but you also couldn't buy food or gas. All of the ATMs were down. All of the internet was down. You need to have some sort of resource there to make sure that when you do evacuate, you can survive the evacuation. Number 2, 5 phone numbers on a piece of paper, in an envelope, in your car, glove compartment. The reason I say in an envelope is simply because I write on every piece of paper in my car as I get a phone call. I put notes on it. We don't memorize phone numbers anymore. And if you get out the door and your phone's dead or you can't find it, you won't know who to call to tell them that you've evacuated. You won't have someone to connect with, but everybody else will have a cell phone that you can utilize, and at least you'll have the number to call. Put a lockbox on your house. They're about $25 on Amazon. You put a key in it. You can give that code to your neighbors. If you have a dog, if you have kids, if you have an elderly person in your house, whatever that looks like, if you have something you'd want them to get out of your house, at least you then can connect with them and say, I have my lockbox. Here's where it is. Can you please do this? One car. When you're evacuating, please only take one car. There's 2 reasons for this. One is because as they're evacuating people, they are counting on you using one car. So they're getting the people closest to the fire out first. If all of those people take 2 cars, that backs up the roads. The next people that evacuate, it gets even worse. So one car is really important. The second part of that is people got separated in my fire. And they were in states of panic because they didn't have a meetup place, or that meetup place was on fire. It wasn't accessible. So one car, you can lose a car. Whatever car you have full coverage on, leave that car behind.
Leaving that car behind, if possible, make sure that your first responders have access to your home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good point. Good point. Your access road to your home, especially for you guys. If that's on fire, are you going to be able to drive through it? Make sure you have that mitigation done. You do not want to drive through a wall of fire. Police, fire departments are used to it. Us as normal people are not. And last but not least, know your neighbors. Know what the challenges are. Know what your needs are. Don't be shy about it. And community is the strongest thing you have, which is why all of you are here today. I have lots of handouts I can give you, but in the big picture, I also have a card my email address, phone number's on there, and I'm happy to answer any questions that come from this that you think of tonight, tomorrow, next week. But if anybody has any questions now.
Let's switch to question mode. Okay. There we go. All right. I have a question.
Yeah,
We're on California Fair Plan. And you're encouraging us to look
yes,
as much as we can to get off of it. But you're also saying that it takes 6 months to get back on it. But yet our new insurance company can give us a 75-day notice, which leaves about 3 months where we have no insurance.
and that is true. That is. I'm hoping that the California Fair Plan catches up quickly. I can't guarantee that, and you have a very good point.
The question that was presented was that there's just a gap between how long California Fair Plan takes to sometimes get activated, although my experience was it was 2 months, but everyone's is different. Between that and the 75 days that insurance companies can give you before cancellation. And the answer is that's a mess. And it just.
Right, so if I'm recommending, part of the question is if I'm recommending them to keep looking for insurance, will there be a lag if they end up back on the California Fair Plan where they will not have an California Fair Plan activated at that point because of how backlogged they are?
All right, let's start. And Marcy, you can collect questions there. We'll start here.
Lenders used to impose very expensive insurance if you didn't have any.
Mhm.
Still doing that, not a big deal.
They are.
Lenders used to impose very expensive insurance.
Yeah.
If you didn't have it.
If you didn't have any, are they still doing that?
It's a forced insurance policy. It will only cover what you owe the mortgage company. So you will not get any loss of use, contents, or any of the equity back in your house. It will simply pay off that mortgage. So you don't want to depend on that. A forced place insurance policy that the mortgage companies will put on your mortgage on your house if you fail to acquire insurance. But the limitations are it'll be very expensive. It will only cover the mortgage. You will not get any of the other pieces of the puzzle of your insurance. No contents, no loss of use. And whatever equity you have in the home will be gone.
But they won't call the loan.
But they won't call the loan?
We haven't found that they do as of yet. But in other states, we know that if they don't have a fair plan, Colorado's been struggling with this with their rebuild from the Marshall Fire. They have a lot of insurance companies that are not reinsuring. And so it's in a flux. They're having another year before their Colorado Fair Plan of sorts will come into effect. And we're kind of waiting to see how that pans out.
Annie, can you quickly just tell us your email address so that I can type it into the chat?
Yes. ANNIE@uphelp.org.
Okay, Annie at UPL.
Help, HELP.org.
Okay, great.
UP help.
Yep, got it. Annie at uphelp.org.
Yes, perfect.
And I do have a question. This is from Marilyn. What do we do about neglectful absentee landowners or uncooperative neighbors? And I definitely have this question because I have one of those.
We yell very loudly.
You know, you can ask them, and obviously that I just had a conversation with someone who lost their insurance because they're in the Shaver Lake community, which had a fire a few years ago. Their property did not burn because they had done all the standards, but their setbacks on one side of their house is only 30 feet. And the homeowner on the other side is from LA and isn't there very often and will not allow them access to their property. If they were allowed access, they literally would go over there to keep their insurance and mitigate that themselves. Cookies. Um, make a friend, work together. Obviously, that's not going to be the answer for everybody by any means, but you know, do what you can to make it an accessible relationship as opposed to a combative one.
Let me also add, we're doing this in Rio Neto. And many other small communities are as well. Safer West County folks can give you more education. It's going to be really helpful out here to get a community project together where you're doing emergency preparedness. We're having block captains, and some of this was discussed already. Know who's on your block, who's disabled, who needs this, et cetera, et cetera. But also for absentee landowners, the power of a group of 5 or 6 or 10 of people coming together as a community with cookies and a nice bottle of Chardonnay can go a long, long way, because we're used to relying on state agencies and government agencies and insurance agencies for a lot of help. This is unprecedented territory.
Yeah.
And so many of us are volunteers who are just making this happen. I can't stress enough how much giving a little bit of your time can make a real impact on your smaller or larger communities. It's not the answer you often want. You want someone else to help come in, but it's just not how it's going to go. So
Now, I did get an email from a gentleman who is in LA that has a home here, and he has 3 neighbors who are from out of the area, and he wanted all the information. So that's encouraging.
and
I think here in Rio Neto, we'll definitely share this with all of the neighborhood, whether they like it or not.
because we're not shy.
We're not shy, and we do have a large summer home population.
I'm going to keep this going as long as we can all tolerate. So let's all try to be real succinct with our questions. And I promise you, I will stay here till we can get to everybody. Let's start here.
Yeah, I do have a list of questions for a minute, but the first one is, can I sign out? I believe it one, can I sign that sheet?
Oh, email,
Yes.
come right up. Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Come
I
up.
want to make some comments. As a volunteer in Casadero, no one mentioned Casadero, we have provided for this community. We have
That
gotten
one.
grants and group cleaning up the Footlock Road. One group and that group, small group, has gotten a boom truck and a chipper.
Just have them do the one.
By getting grants and keeping track of your hours and getting out there and working, going to the neighbors, and I've been with part of it for probably 30 years professionally, but as a volunteer, I've been doing it for probably 5 years where we're going to neighbors and can not help each other. You guys just can't, you guys can all be, you have there.
We'll make sure both are popular.
And it does help. That being said,
Yes.
you know, we have shaded through breaks. I do it with clients, I do it with volunteers. But now, they've hardened our house, and now our insurance company's giving us a letter until July 19th. Okay, our house was built in 1941. The woodshed is less than 30 feet from the house. The garage is less than 30 feet from the house. Unless we party back and vote, replace our deck, replace all the other things, we're gonna get canceled by July 19th. I am meeting with our agent. We'll see what happens with that. We're making it broker, you guys suggested. But with all the stuff we did, a home hardening, doing the research, meeting with Cal Fire, meeting with all these people that work with, they're wonderful people. They were saying.
Stand by, I'll translate this.
To have, fire retardant, even though we slow the house down, if it lasts 20 minutes longer, the fire department can get in there, that can make a difference. And our insurance company is not recognizing that. It makes us feel better. But we are not getting recognized for that, and I don't know where it's gonna land, but just, don't give up on that, do it all.
Yep.
Because
Let me just translate a bit of that for the folks on Zoom, and then we'll come back to you. Basically, it's a resident in Casadero talking about all the home hardening work that they've done, and yet still they're being canceled because sheds, outbuildings not 30 feet away. In West County here, a lot of these regulations or prescriptions of 30 feet, 5 feet, this or that are almost impossible to do. So, but this resident's comment is keep at it, keep working at it, and make sure that you do what you can. Stuart, are you going to stick around? Okay, I just want to make sure everyone, this is Stuart Mitchell in the back. When this is done, talk with Stuart about him helping assess your home. He did mine, it was fabulous. But let's keep going. Did you have another question that we can put to folks?
yeah, well, the other thing besides after we had issues with a lot of bed and breakfast places now, all our neighbors have now sold their properties And so you get people that have no idea how to get out Cabot Road, and so we had a meeting at our community hall, we asked, nicely asked them about footage you want, we say, at this meeting, you guys have renters, they don't know how to get out of Cabot Road, they barely get it, we're gonna be going, you know.
Yep.
But you guys need to know, and so they did bring people in, and they did make the evacuation list for their renters, it's really important, there's so many renters.
I will translate that. This also had to do with a lot of B&Bs in Cazadero, as well as renters, who had really no idea how to get out in the event of an emergency. And this resident got a number of those B&B owners and renters together to present with them with the information needed to get out of town if they needed to.
So one of,
That was Red Flag Day, people were in nice little close campfire, and I don't know, wooden deck, next to our house. Like, what?
Yeah. So we do also talk about renters insurance, and I failed to do that because I didn't think there was a lot of renters up here. Obviously, you guys are homeowners. Please talk to your neighbors, to your nieces, your nephews, your kids about renters insurance. It is affordable. It's a little harder to get now, but in the case of a disaster, those people then have a safety net. And I know that's not your guys' first concern, but in the big picture, in these long-term recovery groups, a lot of the money goes to the unmet needs, immediate needs, which are the renters, to keep them out of their cars, to get them on their feet. And that impacts how much money is available for people like you to have a bridge to get back home.
All right, we're gonna keep going. I encourage folks to talk very quietly because it makes it more difficult to hear the questions. Hey, everyone, can I ask again, please? Keep it nice and quiet so we can hear the questions, and then we still have many folks here live on Zoom.
I live in Rio and I'm starting the Firewise neighborhood in our neighborhood, so if anyone is interested in finding out about the concept, that would not share my experience with that. But I did want to verify if the Firewise neighborhood, do they still receive the discount on insurance?
Do Firewise neighborhoods, the question is, do Firewise neighborhoods still receive discounts on insurance? Anybody want to answer that one?
Yes, they do. And in fact, they have, with the FAIR plan, they have since May of 2018. And with the rest of the insurance companies, the regulation, the Safer from Wildfire regulation requires a discount with those two community designations that Doria mentioned, the FRRC or Firewise communities. So yes.
Good, all right.
Related, when we got dropped from Foremost and, in the process, we asked if we were a Firewise community. But she said she had never written a policy.
I have more of everything.
Oh,
So it seems like there's not a lot of information about that possibility. It's not.
So what you're saying is that your experience is that Firewise is not helping with any insurance discounts, or the people you're talking to, your brokers are not aware of Firewise?
Right.
Do you get?
At the list of where these communities are, it's a couple of polka dots in the giant seals.
So how do they relay that to the insurance companies that they are a Firewise community?
So one thing is, please remember that we're still approving plans from most of the voluntary markets. So if your agent or broker is saying that you don't get a discount for being a Firewise community, that may be true right now because we are still quickly working to approve rating plans from the voluntary market insurance companies. Specifically, that list that Doria showed was sort of the 12 top companies that have, I think, what was 85% of the market in California. Out of that list, just to give an example of kind of where we are, there was only one group on there, it's the Chubb group, where where their new rate filing plan has been approved. So they are giving discounts under Safer from Wildfires. The others are still being approved. So if your agent or broker isn't aware, it might be because of that. But if it's the FAIR plan, they absolutely are giving a Firewise discount and then also a discount for protecting your structure and the immediate surroundings. Does that answer the question?
Did that answer the question? Okay.
Also, just to add to that, we also think that Firewise is a win-win situation. And I think somebody said it before, but I want to reiterate that part, that you are making your community safer, you are making your home safer. So even if these companies are not approved, you are in a safer place than before. And moving forward, we just want you to be patient until we approve and until we become more safer, that you just will see more of the results moving forward. So that's the whole idea. Firewise are doing amazing work. We have now more than 700 Firewise communities in California working, and they are bringing neighbors together on so many other levels just besides Firewise,
So I think it's great that folks like us in the room will help put some pressure maybe on the brokers, but I think it's surprising to me that she had no clue about it.
Well, a lot of.
Yeah.
This is new for so many people. And will you have a question? But will you stay afterward? Yeah. Okay. And we'll stay afterward and talk with anyone about Firewise. So many. Also, if you're leaving, please make sure that we have your email if you wish. There's email back there with Amy, and there's email up here so that you can get the follow-up materials from this presentation. We're still taking questions, so as much as possible.
Oh, you can, you, one of those is fine.
Oh,
I knew that. I knew that.
Okay, next question. Yes.
I was just really curious, we were canceled after 17 years. No claims or anything on our homeowners insurance. And it was AAA and they gave us a 2-month notice to get insurance.
They're required to give you a 75-day notice.
Yeah, they did not. It was the end of January. We got our notice. They gave us till March 26th.
Okay, you can
So-
file a complaint on that if you'd like.
I'm gonna do that. So
Yeah.
we went and spoke with them and they don't even give us an opportunity. We're not considered the fire zone really where we live in Scottsville, but they didn't even give us the opportunity to make changes. They said we had too many vehicles and hazardous materials in our yard. They don't even give people an opportunity to make the change. And they just didn't want to hear it. They didn't care. We're done with you. That's it. So.
Yep,
I don't know
unfortunately,
if that's just what.
unfortunately, what we,
Here, let me introduce.
oh, sorry.
So this was a Sebastopol resident, 17 years with AAA, was canceled with no explanation, or with explanation, but no opportunity to correct anything, and only given 60 days. And now Annie's going to reply about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, the insurance industry is a business. We fail to kind of see that. Sometimes I have to like remind myself of that. And they get to make those choices. The majority of the people that I've heard from in the last 2 months have been getting notice. You need to replace your roof or we will drop you. So the fact that they didn't is not a very good customer service aspect, but there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do about it. Any of you who, are struggling with how high your insurance is, how expensive, raise your deductible. As she was saying, no claims. We don't want claims. So if it's what you can handle, what you're comfortable with, my deductible's at $5,000 to bring my costs down. And I probably should raise it from there because I already know that if I have 1 or 2 claims, smaller claims, I'm going to get dropped. So with the temperature of insurance right now, if you can save a little money because you're not going to file those smaller claims, raise that deductible.
Next question. Any more questions? Yes.
Kind of a comment, I've heard from a couple of people and the lady that was over there, including Monterey, where
the neighbor across the street had a perfectly hardened zone, which is, you know, exactly how they wanted. It was right up there. The one behind them had 5 years ago, frozen needles. All of them got gone. And then the lady in Pasadena was kind of saying that. So it almost seems, I mean, it almost sounds hopeless, like regardless of what, as far as having an insurance policy. Not as far as making your community fire safe, I understand that, but just the basic point of insurance policy. And someone had made a comment, they're just wiping out zip codes is what they're doing, so.
And they've always done that. It's
Yeah.
just becoming more apparent now, and it's happening in more areas.
The comment was just from a resident from Rio Neato, of course, hi, no glasses, from Rio Neato lamenting that it seems that insurance companies are just dropping by zip code. Marcy, do you have any more questions over there?
No, people are just wanting to know who you are, David. Maybe you can come stand in
Oh.
front of the camera.
Maybe you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, he's over here.
Come, go stand next to Annie and introduce yourself to everybody, please.
I'm the hostess with the mostest. Wow, I just did that. David Rosen from Friends of Rio Neato Board, and Firewise and Fire Safe and all sorts of other stuff. It's been an honor to be able to help organize this. I promise you, if you make sure you give your email address to Marcy, or if you sign up here, we'll get you as much follow-up information as you can possibly handle. So last call for questions anywhere.
The one more question, I'm sorry, that Dorothy had is how do you learn if you have a Firewise community? And she is in Sebastopol. So is there a Firewise community in Sebastopol?
There's a Firewise community in Sebastopol. Yes, there is.
There you go, Dorothy. There is one.
Reach out to Safer West County and you'll get the information. That this will be included in the follow-up materials, but I'm sure Ivan must have posted Safer West County on the for
And
Zoom.
Ivan has his hand raised. He would like to speak.
Well, thank you. And yeah, so for folks who want to get signed up for Safer West County, it's really simple, saferwestcounty.org. And that has all of our information and sign up for the mailing list. Specifically about the Firewise community, it's absolutely worthwhile to reach out and talk with your neighbors about creating one, find out if there is one, and if there is, join it. If not, then we can help direct you to the right folks who could help you get started creating one for your community. For folks who might be on the California Fair Plan, it's worth noting that you qualify for at least a 4% discount purely based on the fact that the entire county of Sonoma is a Board of Forestry recognized fire risk reduction community. So you do not necessarily need to be within a Firewise community already in order to get that discount. You can fill out the affidavit and have your broker turn that in on your behalf. And that right there is a pretty significant discount. So just wanted to mention that the entire county of Sonoma is a Board of Forestry recognized fire risk reduction community.
And Ivan, have you been working on our metal fences? Gates?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, I have.
We will have to
And
connect on that because that's a big deal.
It is. There's some cool products out there that we've been coming across.
Ivan, one more thing from me. Can you post in the chat exactly that designation that you just mentioned online so that people can make note of it?
Absolutely.
Thank
I'll
you.
type that out and I'll stick on for a little while longer.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to thank everyone. I'd like to thank Safer West County. I'd like to thank Marina and the Monoreal Community Center, Monoreal Rec and Park as our co-sponsors, along with the Friends of Rio Neato and our speakers and all of you for attending. And let's work together on this. And thank you to Marcy back at the home station terminal. Our tech guru.
Thank you, Duria and Lisa. I always enjoy your company.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure and honor being with all of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Shout out to Lisa, because I was like, Lisa, I might lose my voice. So she's always my lifeline. And Annie, I can hear you all day without, you have a wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much, Marcy and David, for all your technical support and having me participate. I really appreciate all of you.
Go get some tea. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.